Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 190 of the AllYouCanHear podcast. I'll be your host today, Patrick, and joining me today are my three contented co-hosts.
It is break up this fucking monopoly, Jonathan.
Grolt. My name is Grolt.
Winter Wonderland Wenzel.
You use that. Never mind.
It'll be his running theme throughout the month. He'll use just one introduction.
Exactly.
And today's episode, we'll be parsing through the litany of reveals that Disney dropped on us over the weekend, from the Marvel series, from the Disney Plus series, from Pixar to Star Wars, and everything else that happened over this past weekend, because it was just stuffed with content. And we're going to try to get through it all just to help ourselves figure out what all was revealed and just sort of to talk about all the different things, because there is just so much to get to. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it and talk about the Disney reveals, because they had their big showcase over the weekend. Basically, they laid out their plans for Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney at large with Pixar and their animation series, basically going into all the different series and movies that will be coming out next year in 2020 and beyond. And with Marvel, they announced several new series and sort of elaborated on a few others. And just to start us off with Marvel's TV series, they have a firm release date for WandaVision. That would be the first of the Marvel series dropping on Disney Plus, and that comes out January 15th, 2021. So,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, even though it's set in Halloween, or it's got like a Halloween theme in the background.
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Crisis.
This should have came out a long time ago. I feel like, not a long time ago, like October-ish is probably what their original intention was with the release date.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's finally coming.
Yeah, I imagine COVID really fucked with the post-production.
Yeah.
So, and plus I feel like it might be for the best that they waited till after the Mandalorian wraps up. I feel like they didn't want like any self-cannibalization of it, because obviously it's all on Disney. They're getting all the money and the views, but like they kind of want you want each series to sort of have its own like breathing room, and Mandalorian's obviously the biggest show right now.
Yeah. It makes sense. And especially for a show for two characters that aren't as popular as, say, like, you know, the main 5 or 6. So have its own time to shine in the spotlight.
So, because like I'm definitely interested to see how this series goes, because it seems like Wanda's like constructing this idyllic life for herself, very like 1950s sitcom Leave It to Beaver with the Vision. But of course, no, the Vision was killed in Infinity War. So like, what exactly is Wanda doing? Because I just knowing what I know from Marvel Comics, like Wanda's powers are like very strong and unstable because she affects reality, and like with that X-Men event, she sort of like created a reality. M-Day, like excuse me, what was it? M-Day?
It was House of M.
House of M. Excuse me. Basically, Magneto gaslit his own daughter into using her powers to rewrite reality, and then she got fed up and said, "Fuck this." So I'm interested to see to what scale this will affect the Marvel world.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's kind of low stakes. That's one of the things I'm hoping with the show. You know, we've already had the big galactic universal threat with Thanos, and I think it would be good to just bring everything back down, you know, a couple levels.
Yeah.
Not just with this one series. I think overall it'd be nice just to have some random bits of fun, some calmer villains that don't want to kill everyone.
I was going to say, isn't this like psychological thriller though? Because isn't there, does anybody know or remember the main villain for this show?
I don't remember hearing about a main villain, but if it's pulling any inspiration from the Vision limited series, there's going to be some really intense psychological shit, because the Vision comic was so good, but it was just very unsettling.
Yeah, because I could have sworn There was a maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh yeah, I guess I was wrong. I thought there was like a main like person who's gonna be like kind of like manipulating behind the scenes or something. Maybe I was wrong. I'm sorry.
If I had if just throwing it out there, if it's anything like the Vision comic, we might see the MCU debut of the Grim Reaper, but he kind of like has some kind of baggage, so I don't know how they kind of would work him in from nothing though. We'll have to see about that.
Yeah. I'm looking at something right now, and Catherine Hahn is in it, and she's apparently supposed to be playing one of their neighbors. Mm-hmm. Their neighbors, like, that neighborhood, and well, it's been rumored. I don't know. I could have sworn there was like, because I think I saw a bit of the trailer, and then like I thought there was like an old woman or something in there that was like kind of evil, but maybe that's just me going crazy.
Yeah, after a certain point, a lot of this stuff starts to blend together.
Because that's part of like why we're having this show is just like sort of that help ourselves like kind of parse through this information, because it's literally just like a tidal wave hit us Friday night, and then you just have to like left to dig through the rubbish and the wreckage to figure out what the hell they all just said to us.
Yeah, because we were doing a for anybody who doesn't know, the Game Awards happened recently, the past week, and we got together on Discord and watched it, and it's like watching the Game Awards, everybody talking, and then bam, we just get hit with all these announcements all at the same time, and it's just like what's going on, like.
Yeah, and this is also coming off the heels of Warner Brothers announcing they're putting everything on HBO Max, maybe.
And then,
which, thank God,
which Warner Brothers is now being sued by the individual movie companies because they announced that without clearing it with all the different production companies.
Yeah, they think that it's some sort of like breach of contract or something like that. I don't know. That situation's really weird. So, I mean, this is kind of unprecedented. So,
but as for WandaVision, I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm interested to see what they do with these characters as sort of being sort of more minor in the grand scheme of the Avengers. Cause I do. That's the one thing I really appreciate is they're giving these smaller characters more time to breathe. That with the later Avengers, that while we got a lot of characters, we didn't really get a lot of time with each one.
Yeah, they're like especially with Infinity War and Endgame, you only have enough time to focus on so many characters at once.
So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they had 6 hours, or around 6 hours, of screen time with the 2 ending movies.
Do we know how long these shows are going to be?
I imagine something similar to The Mandalorian, with like 8 episodes per season.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking.
8 to 10 episodes is pretty standard for streaming shows. It seems like it's kind of rare to get a show on streaming that's like greater than that, because like the days of like 25, 22 episode seasons are they're a bit more uncommon these days.
Well, yeah, and then even like shows like the Marvel shows on Netflix, I feel like a lot of those got really bloated, and they just had like 13 a season. Mm. So, and on the heels of WandaVision, we'll have the next series, which will debut March 19th, 2021, and that's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which follows Falcon as his new role as Captain America, as presumably alongside Winter Soldier as they sort of deal with the threats in the wake of Captain America's retirement. And it's definitely interesting because you have like Sam sort of taking up the mantle as Captain America like he did recently in the comics in the last few years, and sort of having to grapple with like the weight and the legacy of taking on that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But from what we understand, though, it seems like he, even though Captain America passes it down to him, it doesn't seem like whatever powers maybe agree with that decision, because U.S. Agent is in there, is in the show.
Yeah, because there's a scene in the trailer for the show. You see someone in Captain America gear like running out in like a Super Bowl halftime show. So maybe even though Sam was the official successor to the Captain America mantle, like the government's like, we don't like this, so we're going to give it to this other guy who may or maybe not unstable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this show as well, just because we get more of that. From what I understand, it seems like it's gonna be kind of like that buddy cop thing with Sam and Bucky, which I really appreciated their relationship in the movies. So I think this will be fun.
Because like I did like how they're sort of like bickering buddies in Civil War and in the Avengers. So like I'm excited to see how they explore their relationship further. And also I'm curious to see like what this sort of quasi terrorist group they'll be facing, because they have all these masked individuals with like handprints on their mask, and you have the return of Baron Zemo or Daniel Bruhl's character from Civil War.
Yes. And he's wearing the mask.
Yeah.
Shit. Yep. I forgot about that.
And like we got to see an early like photo of Daniel Bruhl as Zemo, and he's wearing his iconic like bright fuchsia mask.
Hell yeah.
The question is, does he have a sword? That's what I want to know.
Please give him a sword. Because, like, that was so, like, don't get me wrong, his character was fun in Civil War, but, like, it was so disappointing that he just, but, now we get more of him, and I'm glad.
Yeah. And can we I'm just glad that we're out of that phase where superhero movies were just, like, drab and just like leather.
It's like because there for a long time, like people were afraid to like let's have like big showy costumes. Like it started with the X-Men, which is kind of forgivable because that was 20 years ago. But like I think they're finally, because people even had criticism about Marvel not going whole hog on like making the costumes as close to, because they're a straddle line between like cool dark leather and like comic accurate. And then DC's like, we have nothing to lose, so we're just going to pull this shit right in a comic as goofy as he possibly can.
Exactly. And then we're going to get Steppenwolf, 10,000 blades.
Okay, I don't care what you guys say. That design looks so much better. I will say, that design looks so much better than the one we got.
I think they both look dumb.
You look dumb. I'm with Colt. They both look stupid.
I do think the original Steppenwolf was not good. My problem with Steppenwolf 2.0 is that
Steppenwolf is the original.
I mean, yeah, I know, but like all the spike, it just kind of feel like I just feel bad for all the animators who has to like get all this tiny blades to work, but I feel like it's a lateral move. It's better, but I'm not sure if I agree that it's good.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know. This era of the public bullying studios into getting what they want is making me nervous.
Yeah, like
with Sonic, which like the original Sonic the Hedgehog design was like really fucking creepy, but like I don't know. It also feels kind of shitty to just make these like underpaid animators. It's like, do more work.
I'm looking at Steppenwolf right now. Man, just looking at the original and the Snyder cut, that's not much of an upgrade. I wouldn't say it's an upgrade. I'd say it's like a sidestep.
Well, yeah, technically, the Snyder cuts Steppenwolf is the original Steppenwolf, because there's a deleted scene in Batman vs. Superman where Lex Luthor, spoilers, he's talking to Steppenwolf about the mother boxes, and that design that we see now in the Snyder cut was him. But then Joss Whedon took over. It was Whedon, right?
Yes.
I don't remember. Okay, he took over. He changed it, but now we're going back. I just like it because it looks so like, already some of the Apocalypse fuckers look so alien, but like this looks even a step further and more alien, and I like that. But I'm not gonna sit here and praise Snyder Cut and Snyder's bullshit. So
It's just there's too much going on there with that armor. Way too much going on there. Like, I like tone down the shininess, I guess. That's the only way I can think to make it better, but like other than like completely removing it.
let's stop talking about Snyder and DC and get back to the good shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want that to flop, by the way. It better flop.
Yeah.
It's going to flop.
Oh, I really want Snyder Cut to flop. I have no idea what they're doing with that with those times. By the way, you know what? I don't even want. It's so frustrating.
So, well, moving on from Falcon Winter Soldier, we have the following series. We have Loki and his own starring series, which will come out May 2021, and it seems to be following Loki after he escapes during the shuffle to get to Tesseract and Endgame, and he's sort of beamed to another world, and it seems that he's like captured from there and locked up in this sort of interdimensional like prison / bureaucracy building. It seems very surreal what they're doing with Loki in this one.
I can't remember the force. It's some kind of time continuation force that he gets caught by, like ATV, not ATV, something. It's something. It's so interesting and cool because they capture him, and the main person there is Owen Wilson, and
that's who that was. I kept thinking like, why does he look so familiar?
Wow.
Because it's
Wow.
Owen Wilson with gray hair and a mustache. Apparently, his name is Mobius M. Mobius, according to the subtitle.
Time Variance Authority.
TVA.
Oh, TVA, Tennessee Valley
go.
Authority.
That's cool. It's like those the time cops on Rick and Morty.
Yes, the ball
Yes,
sack
the-
monsters.
essentially what it is.
The Key and Peele guys. That would be fucking great.
Yeah, so like whenever they see some kind of fuck up in the timelines, which Loki existing and teleporting into another timeline is a fuck up, they're like, nah, we gotta get you. So that's why he's in their bureaucracy. It reminds me of the Futurama bit as well, with Hermes and his group of people. I can't remember what they're
The
called.
Central bureaucracy.
The bureaucracy, yes. It
It's
just
also
reminds
called
me of that because I'm super excited for this. They got all that stuff going on there. I want to know more about the TVA. I want to see if potentially we'll get a glimpse into different timelines because I imagine Loki's going to go a little crazy and dip his toes into everything.
And
That'd be sick
And
if
speaking
we
of the time jumping, because you see him like jump through like different like locales, like this, like he's in an airplane, he's in a city, but one of the cuts, it's just for a second. You see these ruins, and you see what looks like Black Widow sitting on a pile of rubble, and it facing away from the camera in the distance, and then it cuts to another one of Loki's like jumps. So I'm interested in seeing like, is Loki like jumping through time and space? Is he gonna like undo certain things that happened in the Marvel universe?
Maybe.
I think this could be where they start to branch off and just say, here's an alternate universe, which they are doing with another show. I can't remember what that one is.
What if?
What If, where they show the alternate timelines. I feel like it would be cool for them to introduce a different timeline that's not connected to this one or to the main one at all.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, what if we get a moment where he jumps in one timeline and it's the one where Quicksilver doesn't get shot up.
Yeah,
And
like maybe we can
Quicksilver-
actually see Quicksilver in the MCU.
Maybe he like runs through a portal or something.
he just whenever he leaves, he just leaves the door open behind him, so like all this shit in that universe just like walks into something else. I mean, he's the god of mischief, so like he's just like, I'm just gonna fuck up the multiverse.
What? Oh my God! What if that's what? Okay, I know Colt just said that, and you just said that, but what if that's how we get like mutants and shit? Like, what if he just fucks with everything?
Oh,
That'd be
I
great.
imagine this is probably what they'll do.
I'm very curious as to how this will affect movies, because I forgot to say this. Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange's in the Multiverse of Madness, and I wonder if her show will have anything to do with her connection to that movie, because also the villain in that movie is Nightmare. So I wonder if there's like kind of something going on with that. This is gonna go crazy.
And there's a little like comic reference that I caught it's at the very end of the trailer. You see like Loki in like his suit and tie and like a voting button, and that's like a very direct reference to the Vote Loki miniseries that came out a few years, I think like 2018. So I'm be very excited to see like what sort of like Loki stories they'd be pulling from, because I love to see like old man Loki from like the Jason Aaron stories, and like or Kid Loki. Kid Loki is a fantastic character. I'd be interested to see if they pull that in, but because he's jumping through time and space like that, there's a lot of possibilities what they could do with the series.
Hell yeah.
And speaking of like alternate realities, we have the next series coming out summer 2021, and that's the What If series. And this is an animated series that will follow basically alternate realities or possible realities of things featuring the Marvel characters, but just in slightly different or very different stories. Like, for instance, we see what if Peggy Carter became Captain America or Captain Britain, and Steve it becomes essentially that universe's Iron Man with a giant metal suit. We see T'Challa being abducted by the Ravagers, and him going out in space, Guardians of the Galaxy. And we like I guess sort of the narrator, or the conductor of the series is the Watcher, basically this figure that watches over the universe or his designated portion of the universe. And personally, I love the art style that they've been showing with the What If series.
Looks sick. It looks very cool. I'm very excited for that as well.
Oh yeah, that's the one that's like 2D-ish. Yeah, it's a very good 2D as well. It reminds me of, if I could compare it to anything, probably what is that? That Dragon show that came on Netflix.
Dragon Prince.
Yeah, Dragon Prince. It reminds me of Dragon Prince, but not at 15 FPS.
And one sort of has me. I'm interested in how the Black Panther in space story will work, because that kind of it follows a thread that as recently in the comics, the intergalactic kingdom of Wakanda, where there's basically T'Challa discovers that there is a alien world where the Wakandan sort of like life and culture has flourished in the deep recesses of space, and wonders like it'd be showing little nods to that. And also, what I remember reading, that pretty much all the principal actors will be returning to play their animated selves in the What If stories.
Okay, that's cool.
So this will probably be like one of the last times we hear Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa.
Yeah, that's gonna be sad, but.
But that seems like there's a lot of interesting places to go, and we only know like a handful of the stories, so there could be a lot. Because like the What If stories are definitely some of the most interesting, like, comics in Marvel, because they can just go some really wild, far places and not worrying about messing up
Continuity.
Yeah, because you can just have these crazy stories that have no recompense to the universe at large. So, and lastly, the final series that we have a date for is Miss Marvel, debuting late 2021. And because I think it was announced a few months back that Iman Vellani will be playing Miss Marvel, about a teenage Pakistani girl who comes into her powers. In the comics, she's an Inhuman, in the sense that Inhumans are established in the MCU TV verse, so they might bring that in. But basically, it's just a really cute, fun, light story of a young girl just like discovering her powers and like being introduced to like her personal heroes, specifically Captain Marvel. Now, has anyone ever actually got a chance to read the Miss Marvel stories?
No.
I haven't, but I've definitely wanted to check it out.
I remember.
Yeah.
I think I read up to. I read a good portion of the series, and it's one of my favorites of like these sort of new legacy characters, and like it's just like she's just a really fun, like lighthearted, good natured, like awkward character, and like she's definitely one of my favorites. I'm very excited to watch it, and plus we have like the introduction of like all these like Pakistani and Middle Eastern like writers and directors and actors that we sort of like giving their platform with the Miss Marvel series, and that's even more exciting. Just like this whole like branch of like creators that we've like being exposed for the first time to a wider audience.
Exactly.
I'm very excited for this as well. I have a Miss Marvel pop.
I'm excited for pretty much everything. It's weird because what was the last Marvel movie that was released?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man that came out August 2019.
Was that
somewhere
the
in
last
there?
Marvel movie?
Yeah, because there wasn't any this year.
Yeah, because it
Yep.
was going to be Black Widow, but
It's just been so long since I've watched anything Marvel. I don't rewatch movies. I'm not a type of person that really rewatches anything. So it's just going to be so nice to finally get something new, because like I've took a pretty big break from Marvel related stuff other than playing Spider-Man.
yeah. And I will say, like, sort of a very small plus to the pandemic is that, you know, it forced Disney to take a break. And I know me and Pat have talked about this a lot. We just get Marvel fatigue, where it's like there's 3 movies a year. There's all this ancillary material as well. And, you know, at a certain point, I remember it was probably around the time, like, Guardians 2 was coming out. I was like, fuck, this feels like more of a job. And I would always enjoy myself at these movies because none of these movies are bad. But, you know, it felt more of out of an obligation. But, like, now that we've had some time to breathe after Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, these announcements have made me excited for Marvel for the first time in a while.
Because like talking about, like, even though these are shows and movies that we enjoy, is that the problem is, like, even something like your favorite food can start to kind of taste a little stale in your mouth if you eat it every day. And like, what's the sort of like the high schedule that Marvel keeps? It kind of feels like you're not given as much chance to really like digest between each big movie. Because like I will say that's one of like the drawbacks is like this sort of like it's an embarrassment of content. Well, like we have so much, and just sort of like you just watch it, then another one's hitting your face. It's like, because you can, of course, like anything, you can criticize something and still enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
but it's just like I would like for them to take their time with it, because I want to not feel like I'm just being like overwhelmed with content.
Exactly, and I mean, and it's not even just Disney; it's just everything in general. We're just like inundated with so much stuff, and I mean, and it's quality stuff too. It's not like it's not like necessarily a deluge of shit.
Yeah.
It's just finding time to watch all the stuff you enjoy. Like, there's still, like, here we are in the middle of December. Like, there's still a bunch of stuff from this year that manages to squeak out to be released. And I'm just like, fuck, when am I going to get to watch that?
Yeah, exactly.
But they did announce a few new series. We have Secret Invasion was announced, which will be starring Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn as returning as the Skrull Talos from Captain Marvel. And there'll be, I guess, it's more like into spacefaring. And plus, like, with the story of Secret Invasion, it's about the Skrulls' invasion of Earth and replacing nominal heroes with their most intense subterfuge yet. So, which will be interesting because the Skrulls up to this point have been like a more beneficent species, which is a stark contrast to their comics. So we might see a more dangerous side of the Skrulls population that we haven't been exposed to yet.
Yeah, this was a huge surprise to me because it seems like Secret Invasion would be or I don't know, maybe would lead into Secret Wars, something like that. I don't know, but like this is crazy. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm like you guys said, everything that's been announced, excited for. So,
And another one of the new announcements we have Ironheart, which is a legacy character from the comics. Riri Williams, that is a genius, a teenager who sort of builds her own Iron Man armor and then sort of is allowed to maintain Iron Man's legacy. And what makes her a little bit different from the comics is that Iron Man's still alive in the comics, and she's sort of operating adjacent to him. Where in the movies, in the movieverse, obviously Tony Stark is dead. So I'm interested to see what her connection to the larger Iron Man's legacy is. And but I am really excited because you have like this young black teenage girl, which is one of the most intelligent characters to come out recently. See like how she goes on her journey as a new found superhero.
yeah, because it says that in this series, she's the creator of the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man. So, like, I'm excited to see that.
Hell yeah. Anything that has anything to do with like new Iron Man robotic stuff like that, I am all in on it, baby.
She's going to be played by Dominique Thorne. I've never heard that actress, but hell yeah.
I think there might be some debuting actors with this series.
Yeah.
One thing I think I really think it'd be good to touch on is that you'll see stories about these like very like intelligent and skilled like young people. So even though they're coming from a very humble beginning, they're still able to build like something amazing despite their meager, I guess, surroundings. Like there's that sort of came out a few years ago about this little boy who lived in an inner city neighborhood who basically built a battery charger, like a phone charger, from like little bits of circuitry and like a yogurt cup, and it worked fantastically. So I think it'd be a great place to show like how people of color can really even though they're giving so little by like society at large, they can still manage to make something amazing and to shine despite the world not wanting to accept it.
Exactly. And and similar to how those stories sort of shape the comics, it'll be good to see how this will continue to shape diversity in movies going forward.
Exactly, and for like give you like these different levels of like characters. You have the adult characters, and it's like the more older audience, and you have like these younger teenager characters, and sort of like having these different levels of engagement. Because like of course Marvel is for everybody.
Yeah.
But like there's obviously content they're going to be making that's more geared towards different age brackets, which I think is good.
Yeah. Well, and as we're getting more and more diverse voices, so it'd only be natural that would show up in our media as well. Mm-hmm. And it also works on this really cool meta level because it's sort of like the passing of the torch type of thing, which I think is really cool. Because
we're definitely in a transitory portion of the MCU, because like everything changed after Endgame, so there has to be a new status quo, and this is part of it.
Do we think that do we think there's going to be like another big threat on the level of Thanos, like maybe Galactus or something like that?
Maybe, but I remember hearing that I think Kevin Feige said that they're going to focus on more like smaller issues and like smaller villains and threats, because like you had like this big universal threat like Thanos, so like you kind of in order to have. You kind of have to go back down to go back up again.
Yeah.
So there might be like big stuff like Galactus or bigger issues like that, but they're probably further off on the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said that any like big threat that would pop up would be years, because it took such a long time to build up the Infinity Saga, so it's gonna take equal or more time to build up to a new one, and like you said, you have big threats like Galactus. I don't know if it'd be a huge threat, but like, you still have stuff like Dormammu that Doctor Strange fought.
Yeah.
You have Nightmare, which whatever that is, that's coming. Which I think Nightmare is literally as it sounds. It's like some kind of entity. I don't know. Pat can correct me on this. Some kind of embodiment of Nightmares itself. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with Nightmare, but he is a sort of like a Doctor Strange realm villain, where basically like he's this creature that feeds off like negative energy and nightmares and is able to like project that onto people. So he's not a bigger villain. He's kind of like he's a more underused villain, but of course with Marvel they're able to pull out some of the more lesser used and make him more like intimidating than threatening.
And also there's another big threat, but he's never been big enough for a huge showdown like with Thanos or possibly like you say Galactus. But I don't know if Pat will probably announce him later, but there's a villain that's recently been officially confirmed for the casting, and I am so happy for that.
We'll definitely get to that. We still got a couple more series, but we'll jump into the movies in just a sec. But on the Iron Man legacy, we have Armor Wars, which is a new series announced starring Don Cheadle, based off the classic Iron Man story where Iron Man has to wonder about his legacy. What would happen if his armor, his technology, and his science got to the hands of evil people? And since Don Cheadle is War Machine, and he's sort of like he's an upholder of the Iron Man legacy using that suit, it's sort of like that responsibility kind of falls to him as being like the next in line for Iron Man. So basically, I'm just guessing like people plundered Tony Stark's stuff and they got some armor, they got some of his tech, and they're recreating that. And he has to sort of deal with that threat, which makes me think, will they bring back the bad guy from Iron Man 2, who sort of like that was a big thing where he had all those different armor suits made for the branches of the military.
Yeah. Are we talking about?
I can picture something maybe from Iron Man 3, the way they destroyed his house and put it into the ocean.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have something to do with it.
So,
because I remember all the suits were falling in as well, and I was really sad about that.
So I'm interested to see where that goes, and plus, like we said, we're getting like more time with these characters that we only got a little taste of in past movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a something I was gonna say about Ironheart, but I completely forgot. Is that so many people thought that maybe Spider-Man might become the next Iron Man, which I'm glad that's not the case. He's still Spider-Man, and we got a successor for Iron Man. But I was gonna say about Armor Wars is that there was a leak a year ago about these shows, and War Machine show was mentioned on there. And I was so excited. And then when they announced the shows that were coming, I was, not these ones, but like whenever they announced WandaVision, Loki, Captain or Falcon, and the Winter Soldier and stuff, I was like, oh man, the War Machine show isn't on there. That sucks. So maybe, I was like, maybe it's fake, or maybe it wasn't real. But then they announced Armor Wars. I'm like, holy shit! Then that means the leak was correct, or it was a leak and not a rumor or a theory. And I remember reading, I can't find it now, but I think one of the words that really stuck out to me about this show was it was going to be high sci-fi, and that got me so amped up. I don't like high sci-fi War Machine going on like these missions to reclaim Tony's tech. Like, man, count me in.
I know one thing our good friend Cannon was excited for, was hoping for with the Armor Wars series, is that maybe, however distantly, they're going to backdoor the Punisher into the Marvel series, because there's a recent comic story where the Punisher got a hold of the War Machine armor, and he was sort of like running around and doing his thing with it. So, possibility? Who knows?
That would be crazy. And if it's still John Barenthal, oh, please. That'd be so sick. And the armor, the Punisher War Machine armor that's in the comics looks sick as well. I have a pop of that. Woo.
I mean, there's already heavily rumored that Charlie Cox is coming back as Matt Murdock / Daredevil in Spider-Man 3, so maybe we get all the Netflix heroes back as well in some capacity. Somewhere down the line, anyway.
If we don't, I will I will give Sasha a bath.
I just want John
She stinks.
Barenthal to just come back and just scream. I want a 8-episode series of John Barenthal screaming as the Punisher.
He has the manliest scream, doesn't he?
Just 8 hours of a continuous scream.
Yeah,
It is.
a YouTube
it's
supercut of him
manly.
screaming.
It's so masculine, and it's like so weird. But it's like the perfect like man scream. I don't know how to explain it. It's so.
I
don't
can't.
know.
I want to replicate it, but I just can't. It's like oh, better. Yeah, something like it's good.
Like he's yelling from like his ass. It's just like it projects, like he just sucks in the air through his ass and just comes out of his mouth, just like full body scream.
Oh, so he's farting out his mouth.
Yes, and which is funny because like John Berthel is like this like figure of like hyper masculinity, but he's a really big softy, and like all of his kids, all of his tongues are like really soft and like dainty with long hair. So like there's obviously more than him than what you would think. So
Yeah.
What was that movie he was recently announced to be in about like Southern gangsters?
Oh, I know
have
what you're
no
talking
idea.
about, but I can't remember what it's called.
I have no idea.
So it's
Or
like
I don't remember.
It was called The Bottoms, and it's like is John
Yeah.
Bernthal
Yeah.
the bottom?
Twitter
I would
was
watch
making
that
the
movie.
funny.
Yeah. Oh man. Good.
John
Good.
Barenthal power bottom confirmed.
Like we'll see. And the last of the announced series we have I Am Groot, which is be a series following Baby Groot. We don't really have much information other than that there will be just a series following Groot. And we have the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special written and directed by James Gunn, coming Christmas 2022.
Which, okay, thanks for telling us. But also, what does that mean? A holiday special? Are we getting the Star Wars sequel? The holiday special from Star Wars sequel?
I imagine it's a play on that, like some sort of tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
I mean, like the
type
series
thing.
already has like 70s, 80s vibes anyway. So if they did like a pastiche of the Star Wars holiday special, that'd be a pretty good bit. James Gunn did clarify that or at least he said that it's separate from Guardians Volume 3. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
it canon?
No, I would assume not,
Maybe
but could be.
that. I guess obviously a lot of this is still under wraps. So what exactly it entails and its canonicity is, I guess we'll have to find out. And so those are all the series. So now we'll be jumping into the movie.
Wait.
Huh?
Those aren't all the series.
Well, those are ones we talked about. Well, we did get more information about Hawkeye, She-Hulk. There's a bit more of like information. They did remind us we're getting Moon Knight, but there wasn't really more added about it.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess with the She-Hulk, we did hear that Tim Roth is reprising his role as the Abomination from the original Incredible Hulk movie. We have the directors. It'll be Kat Coiro and Anu Valia. They'll be co-directing with the She-Hulk. We did get an extended cast list for Hawkeye, which will follow Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye character as he trains his successor, Kate Bishop, which is
Played by Haley Steinfeld.
Yes.
Steinfeld. Sorry.
And
Which is
we
amazing.
have some other casters added. We have Vera Farmiga. We have Frofi. And we don't know who they'll be playing as of yet. But we did get announced that Maya Lopez is a character to be added to the series. Will be played by Alakwa Cox. And I'm interested to what role Maya Lopez will play. Because she's known as a character in the comics as Echo. She was introduced as a Daredevil villain. But she's played like different roles. She assumed a Ronin role, which is the role that Hawkeye had in Endgame. He was technically Ronin. So she's an interesting character, and she's also I believe she's an indigenous character, so I'm interested to see what they'll do with her and how exactly she be. Because she's technically like a more antagonistic character in the comics. So like, will she be sort of the foe in the Hawkeye series? So
Yeah.
all right.
Now that's all.
Then with the movies, Black Widow has been bumped up to May 7th, 2021 for a theatrical release. Nothing really new to find about that other than it's just they have confirmed its rescheduled date. Now the next one coming out next year is July 9th, 2021 to be Shang-Chi. And they recently dropped the cast list for it. We have 8 actors that was announced. We have Simu Liu for Shang-Chi. We had Tommy Leong playing Wen Wu. Aquafina playing Katie. Forgive me if I mispronounce some of their names. But Manger Zhang is Shi Lang. Michelle Yeoh is Jiang Nan. Ronnie Chang is John. Paula Chen is Yang Li. And Florian Montaño is Razor Fist.
Hell yeah.
And the subtitle for the movie is The Legend of the Ten Rings, which the Ten Rings is this villainous group that was introduced way back in the first Iron Man movie. And how they may connect it with the outdated villain, the Mandarin. How exactly they'll translate this Yellow Peril villain into a modern day adversary. I'm interested to see how they tackle that.
Yeah, I mean,
The Mandarin was already introduced in Iron Man 3.
But like it was just like he wasn't the real Mandarin, and then the Mandarin that was he was the real Mandarin wasn't really the Mandarin. So like there's this level of like deception. So like we get the really real Mandarin in the movie.
Or maybe
I
we won't get him.
That character's a racial stereotype, and I don't think Disney's stupid enough to do it unless I don't know, maybe.
I mean, it just could be they separated the two. The Ten Rings being their own thing now, and the Mandarin is done. Mandarin is done in Iron Man 3.
So I'm just because I know that they've already started the sort of the comic tracks with Shang-Chi, so they're getting people familiarized with it. There's already been like a couple of limited series about the character. So because he's always been like a more on the, I hate to say like a more like low rung hero, but I think it's a great chance to sort of elevate this character into a larger standing. And like it's just awesome to see like a largely Asian cast like this. Although I'm sure there's some people would have the criticism. Yes, it's an Asian cast, but it's a martial arts movie. So like there's some people wondering about the catch-22 of it all.
Yeah, I mean,
I would rather Asian characters be played by Asian actors.
Exactly.
I'm not too familiar with Shang-Chi, but I'm very interested to learn about what this character and how this movie unfolds. All right. And moving on, we have Captain Marvel 2, which is slated for November 11th release, 2021. We have Nia DaCosta taking over as director. We have Iman Vellani being coming into the movie as Miss Marvel. She'll be playing a role. Also, we have Teyonah Parris playing Monica Rambeau, also a holder of the Miss Marvel title. And according to what was released, Monica Rambeau will also be in WandaVision. She's also playing a role in that.
Did you say 2021?
Oh, excuse me, guys. Was that? I might have misread it. 2022.
Yeah, it's 2022. But yeah, neat.
And then we have the next slate of the 2022 movies, which we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, slated for March 25th, 2022. And according to the new information, Doctor Strange 2 has ties to both WandaVision and the next Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
I have a feeling
Okay.
this is probably going to be the next big movie as far as
Yeah,
like,
that
Yeah.
movie with very big ramifications.
Like for Marvel going forward, because like this is like the official, like, you know, we've been playing with alternate realities, what with Endgame and time travel, but like this is just they're saying fuck it, we're doing multiple universes now. So it's as if things weren't complicated enough, we're about to get even more dense.
Is Sam Raimi still attached to?
As far as I
Doctor
know, from what they said, Sam Raimi is still attached to direct.
Strange? Okay, sweet.
So maybe spooky, scary,
I hope so.
or as much as Disney will allow.
Bring in some full-on Evil Dead.
I would like to see a scary Marvel movie if we get there. And
I don't know. Far From Home was pretty scary.
yeah, lava.
And New Mutants, terrifying.
I get to see that.
Don't. I haven't. I'm just saying, don't.
I can't possibly believe it's worse than Apocalypse.
I mean, yeah. From what I've heard, it's kind of, as far as X-Men movies go, Fox X-Men movies go, it's pretty middle of the road.
So, I still like to be the arbiter of my own opinion on that.
Exactly.
So, and moving to one of probably my most anticipated movie of the 2022 lineup, that's Thor: Love and Thunder,
Yes.
the fourth Thor movie, and we have it confirmed. It was rumored, but it was confirmed that Christian Bale will be joining the cast in Thor 4 as Gore the God Butcher. Obviously taking from the Jason Aaron story of the God Butcher, which is superlative. It's so good.
I'm so happy I'm gonna throw up. Because Christian Bale is such an angry man, and it fits perfectly for Gore, who is such a very angry creature, or a very angry man, and like I said before, he's not to the level probably of, but I don't, his name is the God Butcher, so you know what he does? He kills gods. So
That's a great name. That's an insanely good
It
name.
is the most
Yeah.
metal fucking name.
No, this series, when Pat introduced me to it, I was like, okay, Thor, whatever. But I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is the best thing I ever read. And you know what? I kind of sympathize with Gore. If I had the power, why not kill all gods? Go for it.
Because without giving too much away, Gore, while he goes on a slaughter of deific beings, his anger does come from a valid place, but of course, like a lot of villains, they have a kernel of sympathy. It's just usually what they do with it that leads to a bit of division in their actions.
And the thing is the way Gore, I can't say too much. The way Gore goes about it makes me interested of how they're going to implement it in this movie and the Marvel universe. Oh boy.
So, and what another thing that I'm really excited for with Love and Thunder is that we're finally getting Jane Foster Thor, which is another introduction that Jason Aaron brought to the Marvel universe, which is one of my favorite runs in the Thor storyline, and where Jane Foster, Thor's longtime love interest, she inherits Mjolnir and becomes her own version of Thor. And I believe they did announce that, like in the story, Jane Foster contracts cancer, and she has to deal with the power of a god, but also a sickly mortal body. Because while the hammer does heal all of her injuries, it also sort of erases all of her chemotherapy. Because the cancers are part of her body, so every time she gets the chemotherapy to heal her cancer, Mjolnir cleanses her body. Which chemotherapy is essentially a poison, poison to kill the cancer. So every time she becomes Thor, it kills her, or it shortens her life more and more each time. And that was just a great run, and I love the character, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. We have Chris Hemsworth come back in the store. We have Valkyrie returning as well, And hopefully Lady Sif comes back too, because she asked for that, and I believe they teased that Valkyrie be quote looking for her queen.
Hell yeah.
Plus,
Man.
if we get to see Valkyrie with Stormbreaker, that's gonna be fucking amazing.
That's gonna be sick
Oh,
as fuck.
fuck. This is gonna be, and this is just gonna be crazy. Cause like, how is
Yeah,
this
this is-
like? How is this? How's this gonna go down? Because the movie is called Love and Thunder, but like we're dealing with some dark shit. This woman has cancer. We have an alien going on a god killing spree. We have Thor out in space with, maybe we'll see the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is gonna be insane.
I'm interested to see how Taika Waititi, who will be returning as director, will handle the tonal, like I guess the clashing tones of like mass murdering, the failure of the gods, person with cancer, on top of apparently being more wacky than Ragnarok, and Ragnarok was already pretty wacky.
I think he can probably do it pretty well. I mean, fuck, what is that movie that he did last year with the
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I think that was done pretty well.
Yeah.
Did
I
he
mean,
direct
yeah.
that movie?
Did he direct that?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
I think he can pull it off.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite movies from last year. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of his other like earlier movies, like Hunt for the Wilder People has a really like if you read the story on paper, it's pretty sad, but he's able to, add some tasteful levity to where it's not saccharine, but it's also not misery porn either. I don't know if it was his first movie, but he did this movie called Boy, which was about like this kid who has like an absentee father or something like that. Mm. And they say that movie was handled really well. So
Okay.
I think he can handle things like, these disparate tones really well.
So I'm very interested to see what they do with that. And next we have Black Panther 2, which is scheduled for July 8th, 2022. And Ryan Coogler will be writing and directing that. And they did announce that they will not continue with T'Challa's character in the passing of Chadwick Boseman. So, but it just leaves this big question in the air: where exactly do they go with it? Other than they said they will elaborate on characters like Okoye and Shuri, but it remains to be seen who takes up the mantle as Black Panther.
Yeah, because at first it was like, oh, it's going to be Shuri, and then Shuri's actress went and did some.
Stuck her foot in her mouth.
Yeah, not some cool things, which, given the media cycle, probably in a few years, people will probably forget about it, unfortunately. But at the same time, I mean, they could probably just recast her.
If they decide to go that far with it.
Yeah, or I know this was something we've talked about, or you've brought up, bringing Michael B. Jordan back, Killmonger maybe.
I mean, if there's going to be some time travel shenanigans and all sorts of bullshit, like, I could very easily see them resurrecting Killmonger with, like, he's got a fucking vibranium heart or some shit, or like a little, like, robot pocket where he stabbed himself. I mean, it could happen.
I mean, they do something with the vibranium and they fix his wounds. I don't know. It'd be crazy though. I would love. Michael B. Jordan was fantastic, and it's so, man, so sad that we don't have Boseman, Chadwick. Just it is heart wrenching. Yeah, man. Yeah. Rest in peace. It really sucks.
Yeah, and it seemed to just come out of nowhere. But
it really didn't. It came out of nowhere for us.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I mean, he knew, and his family knew, and I think it was a good idea to keep that, secret with the family.
Yes.
Because just respect their family's wishes, and like, and I can't imagine like what it was like for him to carry the weight of being this extremely influential and like culturally important character, and still have to go through his illness, and he did it with aplomb, and he did it with grace. I just kind of wish he didn't have to kind of shoulder that burden.
Yeah, Because I remember he showed up on like a live stream or something like a month or two before he passed.
Yeah.
And and he was really skinny and, not looking so hot. And, people were kind of making fun of him. And then when he died, everyone kind of, realized they'd put their foot in their mouth.
Yeah. So but it's like I don't envy the people who have to sort of delicately balance what this movie means and sort of like how to pursue it. But like I hope they go through it with some thoughtfulness and some integrity, because this means a lot to a lot of people, and I hope they're able to continue in a positive manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, it's Disney. They'll probably do a good job, and then remembering all the times Disney kind of fucks up with shit like this.
So
it's like,
but this one, they kind of feel like they really have to get it right. They got to make sure they're on the ball.
Yeah, I don't think they'll treat it. They'll at least not treat it flippantly in their minds.
Yeah.
How it'll come across,
remains to be seen.
Wait till 2022.
Best of luck to the team anyway. And the next movie we're talking about is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. There's no attached release date, but Peyton Reed will be back as director, and we'll see the return of Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer. We have the introduction of Catherine Newton as his Cassie Lang, which I guess would be his newly teenage daughter at the end of Endgame. Mm-hmm. Although that timeline doesn't seem to add up to me, but okay, teenage daughter now. I swear she was like 5 years old at the end of 2, and then 5 years later she's 16 years old.
It's a movie, Pat.
Yeah,
it's the
don't think
details.
about too hard.
So,
yeah, Pat. I constantly jump from being 20 to 60.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wenzel's got the erratic Benjamin Button disease. He just every year is a different year for him.
Yeah, he just wakes up and is like, well, I'm 300 now.
Every day is a different year.
And then he'll wake up one day. It's like, I'm 5.
You know what? That's a good movie idea. Nobody steal it.
Yeah, TM. And we have the introduction of Jonathan Majors to the Marvel Universe, and he'll be playing the villain at Kang the Conqueror, a time-traveling despot who's notoriously hard to kill. Of course, he's a time traveler, so that would be hard to put a nail in that coffin. And Jonathan Majors, most recently from Lovecraft Country. He was also in The Five Bloods as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to see how they do Kang the Conqueror, because he has a very iconic look, but it's also very of the age it was made. If anybody knows what Kang the Conqueror looks like.
Is he blue?
He's blue, green, and purple.
King the Conqueror.
Looking it up
Yeah,
right
wasn't he?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he reminds me of Galactus with his color scheme.
Okay.
I was about to say, wasn't he made by Jack Kirby?
No, yeah, it's an iconic design, but like, are they gonna make Jonathan Majors look like comic Kang the Conqueror with like this big kind of flowy green gown with this purple like metal and cape and a purple helmet and a blue face? I mean,
Honestly,
I hope not.
I honestly probably not. They're gonna it's probably gonna
They'll
be
probably
really
not do
washed
the-
out.
Yeah, they'll probably not do the helmet.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is
I don't like the gown. The gown's what gets me. It just looks too weird.
too
Well,
flowy.
just remember, Cole. After you just said that, you're gonna have 1,000 direct messages from people saying why you're wrong.
Well, whatever. It's gonna be since it's a modern Marvel movie. The gowns are gonna be a little bit more detailed. His King the Conqueror, all the ones I'm seeing right now, it's like long, flowy, no details at all. It's very low detail. But since it's a part of the MCU, you know how they love to modernize or make the suits more detailed. So we're definitely gonna see something there.
I mean, they could, because this is Jack Kirby's, kind of style design, and they implemented a lot of that into Ragnarok.
Mhm.
They could pull from those kind of like costume and art direction for him. He is a time traveler, so maybe he somehow got a hold of some tech like that.
It's
I don't
future
know.
fashion. We're just so far in the past we can't perceive how they dress in the future.
Sure. I mean, that is kind of true, I guess. I don't know what they're going to look like. I assume they're going to look like us.
Except they won't have a pinky toe. That's how you know they're from the future.
Fuck.
In any case, like, it's going to be a look. And I'm curious to see how it plays out on the big screen.
There's that subtitle in general, Quantum Mania. That sounds crazy in itself.
Yeah, cause just from the title, because I know that this has been one of the few things people are kind of sticking on is that I've seen the people of Ant-Man and the Wasp it's like they don't like the name Quantum Mania. They feel it sounds a little silly or flippant. But then
it's comic.
It's
Ant-Man.
It's fucking Ant-Man.
Like,
What do you want?
like Ant-Man is the more because Paul Rudd, he's a more comedic actor, so he's a more comedic character. But I just keep thinking WrestleMania, but tiny, little tiny fighting and this weird space. Apparently, when you shrink down so far, you can time travel.
That fits MCU Ant-Man so well. I don't know about the comic Ant-Man if he's as funny as Paul Rudd is, but I think that name is very fitting.
And I was thinking too, it'd be kind of cool if there was a ton of wrestling references, and at some point, Kang and just Ant-Man wrestle or some shit.
I would do about 10 flips if at the end of the movie it's just Kang and giant version of Ant-Man just fucking grappling.
Okay, Pat, you said that, so you know what? I'm going to hold that to you. I'm going to say Pat must do 10 flips if Kang and Ant-Man wrestle.
Yeah. So, look forward to that audio feed in 2 years.
Nope, it's going to be recorded and put on Instagram and Twitter.
See you in 2 years. And the last movie that we have talked about we knew it was coming, but now we have at least a director attached to it, and that is Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, with John Watts officially attached to direct. No set release date, of course, but we're one step closer to a at least adequate Fantastic Four movie.
God, I hope it doesn't suck. That's all.
I'm not excited. This is the one thing that I could care less about. It's just we've seen so much shitty Fantastic Four content that I don't care.
But
it's going to be in the MCU. It's at least going to be
Marvel Studios.
Yeah. So
yeah,
because it can only go up
after Fan Four Stick. Yes.
Yeah, because man, I really hope, because then this introduces Galactus automatically. And also, I hope we get Silver Surfer. That'd be so sick.
Yeah, I think the Fantastic Four will be another avenue where we can explore more of the cosmic Marvel stuff.
Because that's how they get their powers, from cosmic rays, whatever that means. It's just nebulously defined space energy, the power cosmic. And of course, there's been a lot of fan casting for John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. That's been the really popular pick for the last couple years. So much so that in the War of the Realms comic event, they're when Mr. Fantastic is involved, it's very clearly modeled after John Krasinski, as a nod to all the fan picking.
But I have a question for everybody. Who would you guys want John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic?
No. I don't really want John Krasinski in anything anymore.
Not even A Quiet Place?
Yeah, did John Krasinski
Not
fits in
really.
your cereal cult, or is it just oversaturation?
Kinda, yes. He made the Jack Ryan stuff. I'm not into it, and all the stuff he said. I don't like him. I don't like him.
What did he say?
Yeah, I haven't heard about John Krasinski being canceled or anything.
He's done some. I can't remember, but I know I'm mad at him for some reason. Cancel culture has been melting my brain.
Thanks.
I promise you, I'm not bringing this out.
No,
My ass.
I'm
I think
sure
he-
you're not, but like I personally haven't heard anything, so I don't know. Like the one credit I would get is like he really kind of blew up as his own actor at The Office, so like he's been in a lot of stuff, and like because that is such a popular fan cast, you're just seeing like a lot of fan edits, so like it might be a bit wearisome before we even get to it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think he's as oversaturated as, say, like fucking Timothy Chalamet, who's in literally everything.
I mean, good for him, but also, he's working, so long as he doesn't fuck up, good for him.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't
was
have
gonna
any-
say.
Twins are taking over Hollywood.
God damn it.
I was gonna say John Krasinski. I remember I saw a tweet. He was doing some kind of like interview where he's sitting down with some other directors, and I didn't understand it. And everybody in the tweet, or the tweets below it, the thread, were talking about like, I think they were all like, "Wow, look at this like idiot." So like, yeah,
He's essentially like a mega patriot. Like he loves the CIA, and with Jack Ryan, he just glorifies all it pretty much.
Well, I was about to say.
I think that's what everybody was mad about.
Well, I was about to
I
say
was
he
just
did,
mimicking what
he
they
did
were
that one
saying.
movie with Michael Bay where he it was like what really happened at Benghazi.
Yeah.
That I remember that. Yeah, I don't know. He really is just kind of like a Chad. He's just kind of
When would ever you would hear John Krasinski described as Chad? And I guess like
He's turned his character into a Chad after The Office. He said, "You know what? Zero Dark 30 time, bro.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
be,
he
Time
went-
to man up
he's-
and shoot some guns."
he's
super
like
buff.
really super buff. Like you said, a patriot. He's all about family.
yeah, fuck kids, fuck having a wife and family.
Well, I mean, it's just like not like I don't know. It's kind of a really just awkward kind of dude. I brought this up too because like Colt, I don't want him to play Mr. Fantastic. I'm kind of just annoyed with him, and I'm kind of weary of him. Like you said, I hate seeing the edits, and I'm just like, pick somebody else. Like,
Yeah.
Get Rahul Kohli from iZombie, and also most recently The Haunting of Bly Manor. He's a very handsome man that should be Mr. Fantastic.
Well-
Just look, if you don't know Rahul Kohli, look him up. Look at his face and tell me he wouldn't make a perfect Mr. Fantastic.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
I don't-
Like when you said his name, like that sounded vaguely familiar. Like, oh yeah, like he's super hot. I love his mustache. He has a great mustache in Bly Manor. And like,
I guess
look,
I have to
there's
look this up,
already a Fantastic Four fan edit of him as Mr. Fantastic. So someone's already
Yeah,
thinking-
that's why he was saying, like, Disney, come on, Disney. You know what to do. He's a jokester on Twitter, and he fucks around a lot. He's a very funny person.
oh hell yeah.
So there's even some people that are fan casting him as Ezra from Rebels, as adult Ezra.
That would be cool.
So, either way, he's definitely on the rise, and I want to see more of it. All right. So that's the last of the Marvel movies I have listed. The ones they really sort of highlighted, they sort of like reiterated that yes, there is a Blade movie coming. It wasn't really any new info. That of course Mahershala Ali, main character, obviously really cool, but not really much else in the way of information on that though. So was there anything else y'all want to talk about Marvel before we move to the next segment?
Nothing.
Let me talk about No, I don't have anything.
All right. Moving on to our next segment, we're talking about the Star Wars reveal. And with this one, we're more so talking about all the different series that were announced. There were a couple of movies talked about, mainly being the next theatrical film will be called Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins. And if it's based off, I would assume based off the Star Wars games of Rogue Squadron, which are very popular back in like say late 90s, early 2000s. So apparently Patty Jenkins is sort of pulling from her family history of like fighter pilots and sort of I guess be more about the pilots and the sort of the boots on the ground of the rebellion. So I guess we'll have to find out if it takes place during the original trilogy era or sequel trilogy era. Like what timeline we'll be sort of playing with. If it's like the game, it'd be the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just going off the name, that's what it sounds like. But I don't know, and it might be the 30-year gap between them.
Yeah, because there's still a lot of room in Star Wars that hasn't been touched, even though they're quickly filling up the original series, though. But we do have another movie. It's slated for a Disney Plus release called A Droid Story. No release date, but it's said to follow a new hero guided by R2-D2 and C-3PO on their journey. So
It's
a
Wally.
big hell yeah.
It's
I
Wally.
want this. This is like what I dreamed about as a little kid. I love those little funny droids, so I want to see them do more funny things.
It's Wally.
Unless it's just R2-D2 saying, "Please stop killing children, Anakin." I don't want to see that.
It's gonna be Wally. He's gonna accidentally make the Death Star blow up another planet.
Oh, fuck Wally.
like as he's desperately trying to turn it off, he keeps hitting the laser button.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Wally accidentally commits genocide.
Wally, prison for war crimes.
Wally says
More
accident.
true than you think.
Wally, more like War-E.
Oh no!
And jumping into the series, we have one of the first one announced. We have The Acolyte, which is said to be a mystery thriller set in the final days of the High Republic era. And for those who don't know, that is essentially 1,000 years before the main story of Star Wars, as we know it, begins. So basically, it's a high point of where Jedi were very prolific. But of course, like all times in the galaxy, there are times of plenty and times of I guess wane. And so this week, sort of like what happens at the end of that high point. Basically, sort of
Hell
the
yeah.
resurgence of the Sith. And there already is a move with the High Republic content because earlier this year, Marvel announced that they had quite a few books and comics set in the High Republic era. And I think this will be a big point into that, but on a live action scale.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be the canon version of Old Republic, which is going to be pretty cool. I don't know. As someone who's attached to the Old Republic, like when they wiped canon, that was the thing I was like, oh, why did you have to do that? But I totally get it. I'm really interested to see what they do. I know the timeline's a little different than the old one, so
It's still the distant past of the Star Wars universe.
yeah. I think this was also around the time, I could be mistaken, with the Mandalorian Wars, so we might see some of that maybe.
So, like the deep history of the Mandalorian, which of course, like the Mandalorian being sort of the jumping point for all of this. I really feel like because there's a lot of really rich history involved with the Mandalorians. And a little shout out to our friends. If you want to find out more about the Mandalorian and the history of the Mandalorian characters, check out our friend's show, the Mandalorian Watch, on wherever your podcast. So our friend of the show, Matt, he co-hosts that show, and they've really blown up. So if you want a companion show to watch with the Mandalorian, I would highly suggest them. It'll be very worth your time to seek them out. And the next series we'll be talking about is Lando. We just have a showrunner attached to it, and that's Justin Simeon, who's known for Dear White People. So we really just have a title card. Not much known what the content of the be. It's following our favorite scandal, Lando.
Do you think they'll get Donald Glover back, or is this going to be an older Lando? Like,
I'd like to see if it's old Lando telling his like glory day stories, and it's about Donald Glover actually doing everything.
that would be
Yeah.
cool.
Like just like Billy D. Williams has just got his feet up at the bar, and he's surrounded by like aliens and like ladies, and he's like, let me tell you about the time I did this little number, and it's like spins the yarn from there. Because we have two Landos still existing, so why not use both?
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
And then we have Star Wars Visions, which is an anthological series, an animated series, which will have smaller, small unrelated stories told in the Star Wars universe, but they will be created by some of the anime's top animation studios, and that's slated for a 2021 release.
I'm so excited for this. I hope Bones, the people behind Mob Psycho, to get their hands on this, to go buck wild. I want to see the beautiful explosions, but Star Wars style.
Oh, that would be cool. Imagine if they get Trigger.
Oh, a Trigger Star Wars would be hype as fuck.
Like, part of me doesn't want it because, you know, I kind of like my Star Wars a little more low tier, but I'm also curious to see what that would be like.
They just remapped the space battle in Gurren Lagann with Star Wars like spaceships.
God, fucking X-wings turning into Transformers and throwing galaxies and shit. Hell yeah!
Like someone throws this galaxy and it just like slices Death Star in half like a samurai sword, just slides before it fucking explodes.
God, that would be sick as fuck.
And plus, there already is a little animated Star Wars content out there. In the more anime direction, there is a series of short Star Wars videos on YouTube, basically like recapping like certain points and the prequel and sequel trilogy, and like they're all about maybe 2 to 5 minutes long, but they have like it's a very high animation quality, and it's like very anime-esque, and I would recommend those too because they're all really short. You can probably binge all the videos in like 30 minutes. And the next one we actually had a trailer for, which is Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which takes place after the in the aftermath of the prequel series, basically the fall of the Republic and the start of the Empire, and basically it's sort of the remnants of the clone army and sort of the fallout from that, which will come into Disney Plus.
Hell yeah!
Did any of y'all got to see the trailer for The Bad Batch?
I did not.
Yeah, it looks pretty damn good. It's like they took the original. I haven't seen the newest season of the Clone Wars, but they took that style and they amped it up. It's very pretty. It's very, very pretty.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Clone Wars stuff, so there's probably a bunch of stuff that someone else might notice, but I thought it was pretty cool looking.
I didn't get to see it, but just from the name, The Bad Batch, I really enjoyed The Bad Batch. In like the first few episodes of the new season, and like that was something that everybody was talking about, was like what happened to the Bad Batch after Order 66. So like that's gonna be really cool to see like what happened with them,
because one of the things that was put in the trailer is Palpatine's announcement of like the dissolution of the Republic and the formation of the Empire, and sort of like because after a certain point they got rid of the clones and they used like a more volunteer / conscription basis to fill the ranks of the stormtroopers. While of course there were some like leftover clones, but by and large the clones were phased out. So what happened to all those hundreds of thousands, if not billions, of beings? So like what happened to them? I feel like they'll explore that, and also like where does this rogue band of clone warriors, like what did they do in like sort of the destruction of everything that came in forward in the old? So I feel like this could be a really exciting series.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And the next series we have was I think we were confirmed it's just going to be a limited series. Is Obi-Wan Kenobi, which of course we see the return of Obi-Wan from the prequels.
Ewan
McGregor, and this will be set 10 years after Episode 3, and also, this was announced previously this series, but the bombshell they dropped during the big reveal is that Hayden Christensen will be returning for the series, which is a big surprise, and like honestly, it kind of like brave. I'm happy for him that he feels comfortable for returning to the franchise because people just like shitty to him for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could do more with a more capable director, and I'm honestly excited because as far as like, I know we talked about this when we watched the prequels, but his facial acting is really fucking good. You know, it's just when he opens his mouth is when it's like, oh, this is a little cringy. But I don't know, maybe with a better script and a better character director,
Like a more hands-on director, faster, more intense.
Yeah, or just like do 2 takes and that's it.
2 takes, Lucas is what they call him. So I'm happy for Hayden to come back. I want him to sort of have his sort of quote redemption moment because I will say because he returned for a recent Star Wars celebration and he was sort of like lauded at his return. So I feel like enough time has passed that people sort of like they're sort of responding well, even though they shouldn't have been so shitty to him in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even if he's not like the strongest actor in the world or the most compelling, like there's just no excuse for how they treated him or really anybody in the Star Wars movies that they didn't appreciate the character or the direction they went.
Yeah,
I don't know. Jar Jar Binks deserves every hate that he gets.
Jar Jar Binks killed my family.
Jar Jar Binks has committed war crimes.
I mean, the character, yeah, he kind of did.
Yeah, no, we're just not. We're talking about the character, not the voice actor or anything.
No, the voice actor is a good person.
Just the
deserve any of
character.
the hate he got.
Oh man, and then the fandom, has kind of accepted Ahmed Best back as well.
Because he went through like a big struggle post Star Wars. I feel like
yeah, he had like real bad depression and stuff like that,
and I want to say like I don't know if it's moved any further, but I remember hearing that there was a time where they planned to make like a sort of Star Wars like kids trivia show or like basically like Jedi lore, and Ahmed Best would be like a Jedi instructor / host for the show. I don't know if that's progressed any further, but I remember that was a plan at one point, or at least rumored.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was pretty much confirmed, but sort of like the Rian Johnson trilogy, who knows? Like, haven't really heard much since around like the sort of Last Jedi media train.
So, but I meant to see what they do with the Kenobi because I've seen a little bit of the comics what they sort of touch on and Kenobi's sort of lost years because they touched on like Kenobi in Rebels and in the comics, so like how they fill in that gap, and also explain how he aged so fast in the 20 years.
Well, I mean, he was living in the fucking desert.
It's like because he aged twice as fast on Tatooine, I guess.
I mean, if Jeff Keighley aged as quick as he did in just fucking 2020, just imagine fucking Kenobi in the fucking dunes of Tatooine.
Oh fuck, are there gamers on Tatooine?
You know there's gamers in Tatooine. You saw fucking Jabba the Hutt.
Tusken Raiders.
Tusken Raiders are also gamers.
Yeah.
And
Every time they scream, they're just asking, "Hey, you want to play co-op?"
Oh,
But nobody understands that.
They just want to invite you to the LAN party.
Exactly.
But the reason we can't understand them is because they're using racial slurs.
Oh, come on.
Man.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Do you know how big it was that the Mandalorian knew sign language and that's how they spoke? Come on, man. Jonathan.
why would the Mandalorian say that, Jonathan?
Jonathan.
I don't know. Maybe.
Jonathan, you're canceled.
Fucking shit.
Yeah,
My time has come. No.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh God, he's floating.
He's not floating. He's floating up, but then he's still going to start going down and there's fire.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck, he's a meteor.
Well, no, hell.
And the next series is Andor, following Cassian Andor from Rogue One. This is slated for a 2022 release. Returning to the role is Diego Luna, who played Cassian Andor in the Rogue One film. And presumably it'll be touching on sort of the more shadier aspects of the rebellion. because we got to see that while the rebellion are a bunch of freedom fighters, that we got to see that they're not, as pristine and pure as the original trilogy had maybe led us to believe.
Yeah.
And Diego Luna's a fantastic actor. I loved him in Narcos Mexico. Like, he can, if he taps into that same level of like shady business, I think he'll do well here. Narcos, Alderaan.
Hell yeah.
Instead of cocaine, it's just spice.
He did a great job, and he originally, before the rebellion, he fought with the separatists. So that's gonna be his story's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, I hope we get more into that, because I mean, even in the Clone Wars, there wasn't a lot from the separatist perspective.
It's like,
yeah,
if we explain their motivation too much, we realize maybe they weren't that bad.
Yeah, but then when we get the separatist perspective, we just get droids and bad guys like the Sith, manipulating them. Like, okay,
yeah, the troubles of keeping a black and white morality narrative when the actual like logic of it is a bit more gray.
It's really weird. The Sith are manipulating the separatists to do their bidding, but the government is manipulating the Jedi to do their bidding. Like, okay.
We're all just
and then the government is also being manipulated by the Sith as well.
It's 4D chess.
Fucking Palpatine, he had it all.
With his literal galaxy brain.
Yep.
And the next two series, there are no announced dates for it, but we are getting an Ahsoka series with Rosario Dawson reprising as Ahsoka, and also Rangers of the New Republic, featuring the different, I guess, presumably how the rebellion will now try to reinstate power and as the New Republic is being built. And I believe the actor who, like, the older Korean man who's in The Mandalorian, he sort of like teased his role and Rangers of the New Republic.
Oh,
cool. So
that sounds cool. Yeah, Rangers, I like that.
So was there anything else with Star Wars we wanted to touch on before we moved on to our next segment from the Disney reveals?
Only thing is, I'm super excited for that Ahsoka show. It's gonna be fucking lit.
Because if anybody's seen the Ahsoka episode at Mandalorian, hype as fuck.
Mando is good, yes.
And
that's all I have to say.
Lastly, we have a handful of topics from just general Disney reveal from Disney Animation and Pixar. One of my favorite announcements was Turning Red, about a young teenage girl who struggles with being like shy and bashful, and that sort of, through just some happenstance, she turns into a giant fluffy red panda, and it looks cute as hell. And that's slated for a March 11th, 2022 release. And this is a Pixar movie.
I'm very excited for this, just off the picture they chose for the poster. I really love the giant panda's design, and I need to see it.
Very excited, yes.
And we also, coming out in 2022, we have July 17th release of Lightyear, which is a story about the real-life figure of Buzz Lightyear that inspired the toys in Toy Story. And the real-life Buzz Lightyear is played by Chris Evans.
Cool.
So, interesting. That's a long road to get to your story. We have some animated series. We have a Baymax series. We have a Zootopia sequel series. And we have a Tiana series, main character from The Frog Princess. They each have series releasing on Disney Plus in 2022.
Damn, 2020,
That's cool.
2022 is going to be fucking stacked.
Yeah, it is.
And like I know people on my timeline were very excited for a Tiana series, because while a lot of people love The Frog Princess, they did feel sort of like a little short-handed, because Tiana was the first black Disney princess, but she spent the majority of the movie as a frog. So it's kind of like that milestone wasn't as meaningful as it could have been.
Yeah, and then like the white people in the movie are the good ones. There's a lot of whitewashing to make white people feel good in that movie, and it's also just kind of mid-tier Disney.
as gorgeous as it is, it's like one of the best like traditionally animated movies they released. If one of the last ones as well.
It has a killer villain song though.
Oh yeah, his song is fantastic.
It's fucking lit.
Bring back the Disney villain songs.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a Moana series coming out in 2023. No other information, just that there will be a continuing series for Moana. Probably one of the biggest yet understated announcement we have, a animated series called AYCH, which is about this like sort of like neo future sci-fi
Like
Afrofuture series, and the production company Kugali was really only known for like which is a Pan-African animation company in Africa, and what it is, they're known for like a few like videos and shorts, but like they don't have like a really big thing to their name, but like people widely know them by. But then to hook up with Disney, like this is like a really big thing. I know a lot of people behind me are very excited for this, and it's currently slated for a 2022 release. So because with the Afrofuturism, we saw like a taste of that with Black Panther, and I feel like this will definitely be a continuation of sort of those themes they sort of set into place. Obviously, two very different things, but in the same sort of genre of Afrofuturism.
Yeah.
And we have I think it's another animated series called Encanto, which is it's a Pixar, or I can't remember, the Pixar Disney animated film. Anyway, it's a musical set for a fall 2020 release set in Colombia. And I think they had like a bunch of like smaller series, like smaller shorts and series. And now I think Pixar's next film is Luca. Yeah, Luca is about a boy named Luca and his best friend Alberto as they have an unforgettable summer. And basically, I think this is like a Hispanic Latinx themed movie, and people are already speculating this might be, will Disney go pull the trigger, do their first LGBTQ themed movie? Maybe. Will they be brave enough to do that?
Most likely not. I don't expect that.
No, because Disney's a bunch of fucking cowards, and all they care about is money.
Even though they literally just dropped everything that people will be watching for the next 2 to 3 years, so like you're getting everybody the money. What little bit you may lose from just dipshits, everybody else on fucking Earth is still gonna give you their money. So like, cop to it. Anyway.
Y'all still got to think about the China markets and how it's going to be perceived over there. Stuff like that will be just edited out.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll just be selective with at least. Anyhow, this movie is slated for a summer release in June 2021. This is the heads and tails of what I had written down for our discussion, just from like, of course, there's still a ton more that we get to. Of course, there are like more smaller stories. There wasn't as much information about them, but those are just the big ones that I picked out. So overall, how are we feeling with this sort of just tidal wave of announcements?
Overwhelmed.
A lot. There's a lot going on. I haven't watched all these things. I haven't read into any of these things really. So it was nice to get all this stuff explained to me a little bit. I'm really excited.
I'm sleepy.
It is very overwhelming, but like I said, this sort of for our own benefit, just to break down everything that's been going on. So there's literally like nothing I'm really not excited for. Like even some of the smaller stuff, like I'd watch it.
Yeah, if nothing else, mild interest.
So like, and plus like there's some stuff we just don't know enough about, so it's kind of hard to get excited about if literally all we have is just like a tweet or a title card. So there's still a lot of it that's still very much in production. So there's much more to come in the future. All right, well, that was a lot. So I hope that was as beneficial to you as it was to us, because there's just like it seemed like a never-ending stream of information that came out over the weekend, and there's a lot to look forward to from all those things. We'll just have to push out the idea that Disney is slowly consuming everything that we know and will just be owned by Disney. But don't think about those things. Just watch the new show and be excited for it.
Or think about these things and don't let it happen.
Or think about those things and watch the new things.
Oh, or you could do that. That's cool too.
Porque no los dos.
Porque no los dos.
So thank you all so much for listening today. Be sure to follow us on wherever your podcasts are streaming. That'll be on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, in any RSS feed catcher out there. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe on all those platforms. Helps us out, shares with a friend, pushes us up higher in algorithm whenever you do those things, and just keeps the podcast going, gives it more visibility. You can follow us on our socials on Twitter and Instagram at AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on Letterboxd and Facebook at AllYouCanHear. Follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. And all of our past Twitch videos live on their YouTube, which is also at AllYouCanHear. And lastly, you can follow me, Patrick, on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at John Lost His Name, and follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
My name is Jonathan. You can follow me on Twitter at JONIIBOI24 and JohnOwnSon12 on Letterboxd.
My name's Colt. Follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening. I'm Wenzel. You can follow me on Twitter at WenzyWilkie. You can follow my art Instagram at World of Wenzy. I have a link tree, my Goodreads, and my Letterboxd, and other stuff are in there. Go check those out.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll be talking to you very soon. Have a good day.
Goodbye.
May the force be
Bye-bye.
with you.
Have a good time.
Mario.